Hi, Eric Linask with TMC. We are here at Cloud Expo. I'm talking with Interxion's JF van der Zwet. JF, thanks for joining me. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again too.
So, when we spoke last year, you gave us some insight as to what Interxion's been up to. What's happened in the past year?
So, well, the best thing that happened is that recently we announced two expansions. So we now have 34 data centers within 11 European countries. We announced our second data center in Copenhagen and our 8th data center in Frankfurt.
Well, congratulations on that. What are some of the market trends that drove that expansion?
Well, cloud is still the big trend. And one of the things that we found very interesting is to see that if you compare cloud to the incumbent or traditional hosting market with dedicated hosting, managed hosting, cloud is still a very small piece of that total market, but it's the fastest growing piece. So we see a lot of development with the incumbent hosting providers transforming into cloud providers.
Why are they going through that migration process now?
Well, they've been doing a lot of business over the years, and I think in the beginning they were slowly adopting cloud, but it's clearly a customer demand from them. But the most important driver behind that is, and I'm talking about the European market, is the entrance of American providers in that market. So if you look at the revenue that's being made, about 23% of the revenue is made in Europe and 66% in the US. But if you look at the amount of companies that make that revenue in Europe, 88% comes from the US and only 6% comes from Europe. So there's serious competition coming from the US to Europe, and well, they need to attack that.
So should we expect to see increased growth in Europe?
Absolutely. I mean, the uptake has been relatively slow compared to the US. I think Europe is still 2-3 years behind. So we know that uptake is going to be there.
Now that's interesting because there's certainly several areas of technology where Europe is ahead of North America. Why is the US ahead of Europe?
I think one of the most important reasons, which is clearly a good comparison, is the role of the government. Government here in the US is a very good adopter of cloud, and in Europe you will barely see that. Now another reason is that the US is one country, and despite what a lot of people might think, Europe is not one market. Each country is its own market, has its own rules and regulations. And specifically the data privacy rules don't allow a company to store privacy sensitive data outside their country borders. So that means they will choose a local provider rather than a US provider that picks just one location and starts to target the entire European market.
And how does that benefit you?
Well, we are in 11 countries in 13 cities, so we can cover most of Western Europe. So we have a pretty good insight into what companies are doing. So one of the trends we see is that hosting providers have a very strong home base, expand into new markets, not only targeting new customers, but also expanding with their infrastructure.
What's the key in terms of enabling them to quickly expand into new markets?
Well, that differs between European companies and American companies. So European companies pretty much know those markets, know their route to market, know the channels. And when we talk to American companies, we support them in introducing them to those channels, making them aware of those channels. And in some cases even share a target list with them just to kickstart their business into that local European market.
Are there differences in regulations that you have to be aware of, and how complex does that make these cross-border transactions?
Well, it's not so much the differences, but each European country has their own regulations. So you have to comply to those regulations in each country, making each country a separate market.
Are you seeing specific interest from customers because you have a presence in each of these different markets?
Yes, definitely, yes. That's one of the big reasons. We have the widest footprint in Europe, so we're a big player in that game.
What can we look forward to in the future from you?
Hopefully a lot of interesting stuff. I sure would take a look at a website. No, it's like we said, our focus today is growing within our current footprint. So we want to support our customers' growth. That's very important. I mean, we're cloud and carrier neutral. To us, that means we don't compete with our customers. We have a thriving community of interest of cloud providers, connectivity providers, and we want to make them a success. So sometimes that means that we work together with our customers to build interesting projects and make sure that they grow their revenue within our data centers.
Now you mentioned earlier that one of the things that help drive growth in the US is the government's adoption of cloud. Should users now then be concerned that the government is also looking at data that they've got stored in the cloud?
Oh, that is a big concern. I mean, I think the European market already was aware of that because of our strict data privacy rules and the US Patriot Act. And I think you will also see now that awareness here in the US. The effect of that will be that there will be some reluctancy to use American providers. So the more important it is for them to present themselves locally as a local company, or look for local partners to work with. And we have in each market our own organization, so we're very good suited to help them with that.
Excellent. JF, thanks for joining me here.
You're welcome.
I'm Eric Lanask with TMC. Follow all of our Cloud Expo coverage in the TMC Video Newsroom.